Social media has created an invisible arena where the crowd never stops watching, judging, and commenting. And for pro wrestlers, that constant spotlight comes with a heavy psychological price. Wrestlers used to perform for 20 minutes and then go home. Now, the match never ends because social media keeps it going 24/7. Here's the thing: in real life, no one's going to come up to you and mock your appearance. No one's going to tell you that your teeth are bad or that you've put on weight or that you're falling off. But online, it's open season. Social media gives everyone a mask to hide behind. And when people feel unseen, they'll say things that they would never say in person. And wrestlers, they're right at the front line of it all. Every post, every match clip, every promo, it's all up for judgment 24/7. Today, I want to talk about what that does to pro wrestlers over time, the psychological toll of social media on wrestlers, and why nobody else in the business is talking about it. My name is the villain Marty Skirl, and I've been a professional wrestler for over 20 years, competing all over the world. And this is part of my new YouTube series where I discuss all things pro wrestling. So please, like and subscribe. Now, this is a bit more of a more serious subject today, but it's something that I've wanted to discuss for a while now. This has only been a thing for the past 10 years or so, and no one's ever really spoke about it or studied it about the effects that it has on pro wrestlers. Until about 10 years ago, pro wrestlers only got feedback from the live crowd for the 10, 20 minutes that they were performing. As soon as they got through the curtain, they could switch off. Sure, they might get recognized in person now and then, but generally, typically, people in real life are nice and respectful. Once they left the building, they could switch off. Fans didn't have direct access, no constant opinions, no DMs, no constant at mentions. Around the mid 2010s, social media became like a second ring. Wrestlers now get constant feedback, positive, negative, and often personal. The performer and person blur together online. You're expected to always be on, even off TV. And the truth is, I think it's doing something to pro wrestlers, to their psyche, to their confidence, to their creativity. Nobody's really talking about it, but we need to. Social media has changed wrestling forever. There's no question about that. It's opened doors, helped people connect, and even built careers. Of course, there are a lot of positives to social media. I think back to what Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder did with his Long Island Iced Tea Z videos back in the day. I think about being the elite and how much that helped our careers. And ultimately, it's a great way for a wrestler to promote himself, brand himself, and connect with the fans. I mean, I'm even using it right now to connect with all of you. But there is a not so positive side to social media. The internet builds a wall between people. Let me put it this way: when you're face to face with someone, you see their expressions, you hear their tone, and even subconsciously, you feel their emotion. That connection triggers empathy. It reminds you that you're speaking to a real person. But online, that wall removes all of that. There's no tone, no facial cues, no emotional feedback, just text on a screen. Behind a screen, people say things they would never say in person. Not necessarily because they're bad people, but they're disconnected from the human impact of their words. The wall of the internet makes them forget that there's a person on the other side. These words in person would feel cruel, uncomfortable, and wrong. But online, suddenly people feel free to mock, criticize, or point out flaws without hesitation. And that's one of the negative sides of online interaction. It removes empathy. People stop seeing the wrestlers or anyone as real human beings. They just see characters. They just see avatars, content, or targets for engagement. And for wrestlers who already put themselves out there physically and emotionally, it can do a lot to your self confidence. It can eat away at you and your sense of self. Now, I know this isn't just restricted to pro wrestlers. In this day and age, nearly everyone goes through this. Like I said, it really hasn't been a thing until the last 10 years. And I really do wonder what it does to the psyche of professional wrestlers, this social media effect. Maybe you're just thinking this is the price that a wrestler has to pay for being in the spotlight. And maybe being a professional wrestler that they should have thick skin. And I do understand those arguments, but I still feel like this is a subject worth discussing because the fact that a wrestler now just can't switch off ever. Obviously, of course, they can just put down the phone. I get that argument as well. But I'll be honest with you, it's very difficult for wrestlers to do that. And even when they do their best job to try and ignore it, sometimes it really can't be avoided. And that's not to say that the majority fans aren't great. Most wrestlers absolutely love their fans. Most wrestlers will tell you that they have the best fans in the world. I certainly feel that way. And I appreciate every single one of my fans. Everyone watching right now, I appreciate you. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. I wouldn't be able to have the career that I've had. Like, we really do appreciate and love our fans. But of course, you've always got to take the good with the bad. Online, there's a lack of immediate consequence. In person, saying something hurtful comes with social feedback, whether that be discomfort, confrontation, guilt. And online, I feel like people often say cruel things, not just to hurt someone, but to impress others, to get likes, to get engagement, to get comments. The social reward replaces empathy. Social media creates this illusion of connection, but in reality, it's separation. It doesn't just give people a voice, it removes their filter. And for wrestlers, that means getting judged and criticized 24/7 by people who forget that there's a real human being behind the character. Personally, I know a lot of wrestlers who have struggled with this. Of course, there's some wrestlers who just don't care whatsoever and it doesn't affect them at all. But ultimately, there are many that are affected. And there are wrestlers who this is really having a negative effect on, so much so that maybe they've even considered not wrestling anymore. Sometimes you'll see wrestlers be combative online, and it's because they're defending their identity, not just their gimmick. For a lot of wrestlers, it's really hard to escape. A lot of wrestlers, they'll want the positive feedback, they want that reinforcement. So they'll always be checking social media because they want that positive feedback. I've seen so many times after wrestling a match, as soon as I get to the back, the first thing the wrestler would do will go on their phone and check out what social media are saying about their match. Me personally, I get it. You want to see what the reaction is to your match. But at the same time, I don't know if that's the best way to approach it. And that's not to say that people online can't have legitimate criticisms. And often they're actually appreciated. A lot of the times, you want that response from the fans. Okay. You want to know if you did a good job. You want to know what worked and didn't work. And like I said, the majority of fans are actually really, really great. I think where the issue lies is when it becomes more personal or just the constant 24/7 of everyone judging you, everyone criticizing you. You make one mistake. Back in the day, you had a botch, as they call it in a wrestling match. You know, either the guys would laugh about it, maybe the guys would come to the back and they'd be kicking themselves over it. Now, imagine that amplified by 1,000, right? Imagine now that has been clipped and that's online and it has thousands, if not millions of views, and everyone is criticizing you for it. It feels like for a lot of wrestlers, there is no escape. So, what is the solution for this? Oh man, I wish I knew. I really do. And I'm no expert on this whatsoever. I think a big key is knowing how to set boundaries, knowing when to log off. One piece of advice I heard once was you wouldn't take advice from these people, so don't take critique either. I especially think when a wrestler finishes their match and they get to the back, rather than going on social media to see what they thought about it, I really think it's a better idea to go ask the boss, to go ask the booker, and then other wrestlers and veterans who you respect for their opinion. But honestly, after a match, you're all amped up anyway. You might not need instant critique straight away. Okay. Maybe you need a little breather. Maybe you need to calm down. And then you go ask those guys for their opinion. But I really wouldn't recommend going on social media right away. Eventually, yes, sure. You want to know if the fans enjoyed it. I'm sure most of them did. But at the same time, we all know this. One negative comment can set you off, right? You can have 100 positive comments, and then that one negative comment can really just put you in a bad mood. So I would focus on more in person connections, whether that be with the wrestlers, the promoters, or of course, the fans. Every meet and greet I do, every fan I meet, every time I get recognized, people are great, right? They're so kind, they're so friendly, they're so complimentary. Typically, nearly always, I would say 99.9% of the times, honestly, maybe even 100% of the times, my interactions with fans have always been positive. And a reminder to wrestlers, these opinions don't define you. These people might think they know you, but they don't know you. So if they say something hurtful or cruel, let's remember these people, they don't know the real you. Okay. And they don't know as much as they think they do. Like I said, you're much better getting feedback from people that you trust, people that you love, and people that you respect. Sometimes it feels like there's no off switch and that you're on 24/7. But let's remember, at the end of the day, it's all noise. It's not real life. You're getting to do something that you absolutely love. Yes, there's some negatives that come with that, but ultimately, you're able to live your dream. Maybe it's time we stopped expecting wrestlers to live online 24/7 and start letting them be human again. Because if we don't, we're not just changing wrestling, we're changing wrestlers. These are just my opinions, my thoughts on it, but I would love to hear the feedback from you guys. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions on this subject. And to my fans that have supported me over the years, I just want to tell you deep down from my heart, I love you. I wouldn't be where I am today without you. And I really, really do appreciate your ongoing support. And until next time, whoop, whoop.